Wallets that are holding at least 100 Bitcoin have risen by 91 since November 11th, a retail capitulation that typically signals long-term bullish momentum. Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP holders. Thank you so much for all the love that you guys are showing on these updates. Continue supporting, and you will see a continuation of these updates. So, looking across the board at this point, you guys should be well aware as to what's happening. We've seen quite a nice start to the week. You guys could see across the board, we're seeing pretty much the entire market up. XRP had a great day. It's up 7% right now, and that's after a little bit of a retracement. XRP was actually up 10% plus over the course of the last 24 hours. So it had a great day. And, as we are going into Tuesday morning, the momentum is pretty much carrying on. So the price of XRP right now, as you can see for yourself, $2.20. We're looking at about a 7.1% increase on the USD side of things, up about 6% on the Bitcoin side of things. The valuation 132.3 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at 6.3 billion. As always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So I shared this in my other market analysis update on XRP. If you did end up missing that, no problem. We're just going to quickly go over this. We saw $100 million in volume for the XRP ETF, which again is very impressive. And those two ETFs that we spoke about last night, which were the Grayscale and Franklin Templeton, they have officially gone live. But now look at the ETF numbers, the inflow numbers that have come out, and this is where I am completely at a loss of words, because it has, just pretty much beat anyone's expectations. Look at this ETF flows. Bitcoin and its spot ETF saw about 151 million outflows, while Ethereum, Solana, XRP saw inflows. And XRP has seen $164 million in inflows just yesterday. And what's crazy about this is, if you look at last week, cumulative, so, pretty much in total, we were sitting at about 170 million in terms of inflows. And just yesterday, one day alone, was able to pull in 164. I think this is going to be a big week for the ETF inflows, but what a amazing start. And Franklin Templeton ETF, one of the biggest asset managers, of course, you guys could see for yourself. They are currently ranked as number two, and they pulled in 23.7 million on day one. So very, very impressive stuff here. And I know, a lot of people are speechless, because right now, what I'm noticing, I'm starting to notice slow but slow, but it's starting to happen. You're seeing a shift in terms of engagement. I see it as a content creator firsthand. Once you start seeing more and more positive comments coming in, that's when you see the momentum is starting to switch. Obviously, compared to where we were earlier this year, and a few months back, obviously we're nowhere near that. But slowly but surely, I think with these ETFs, people are really going to start to understand where the institutional interest really is. And you're seeing XRP ETF pulling in more inflows than Ethereum itself, which again is the second largest coin in the crypto space. Wow. But take a look at this. So odds of a December rate cut right now is sitting at about 81%, up from 42.4% just last week. And is the market pretty much kind of pricing itself in for that rate cut? Could be. But again, this is something we will kind of want to be keeping an eye out for as well. But take a look at what this person says. So flow by asset, you could see according to CoinShare, the entire market was down 1.94 billion last week, but XRP was the only major crypto with green inflows. And I could also say that about Solana as well. You got to give credit where it belongs. Solana also saw, but this person is pretty much saying that you didn't really see any negative inflows. So pretty much from a weekly perspective, you saw just positive inflows coming in. So yes, I guess that, that is how we want to kind of look at it, which again tells you the momentum that XRP is building up, and that demand, demand is what we want to be paying attention to, that there is definitely demand from the institutional side for XRP. But take a look at this. Reserve ones latest filing outlines its long-term crypto strategy as it's advanced its SPAC merger. 80% Bitcoin Treasury, 20% major alts are including Ethereum, Solana, ADA, and XRP. Very interesting. And again, if you don't know, Reserve One is, a financial industry company, obviously focusing on digital assets. But you could really see for yourself that you're starting to see this type of thing become a norm. And as you're trying to go for an IPO, this really tells you what they currently have, and you could see XRP is on the list. Moving forward, speaking about ETFs, I think the ETF mania has just begun because next week you have other ETFs going live. Not just XRP one, but Dogecoin also getting an ETF. Chainlink is also on the table. So, these ETFs are starting to heat up, and, they were very, very highly anticipated for quite some time. And that time is finally here. But let's take a look at what's happening with the price and what we could be expecting going into Tuesday morning. As far as the dominance is concerned, still sitting at about 58.78%, as you can see for yourself, still showing, this downward trajectory. While Bitcoin, on the other hand, you could see for yourself, as I stated to you, Bitcoin is in this upward trend, as you could see for yourself. Even though Bitcoin did see a little bit of a minor pullback from $89,000, we still have not retested the 86K key range right now, still sitting at $87,276. My overall take, I still think there is a strong chance that Bitcoin does push back into the, 0.50 fib zone. But let's take a look at what's happening with XRP. XRP is holding up really nicely right now as we are, of course, going into Tuesday morning. Let me pull out the charts for you guys. See for yourself. We obviously came up to $2.29, and I know this has caught a lot of people by surprise because XRP just since yesterday went up. You could see for yourself 12.2%. That is quite a nice bounce, and the ETFs did really, really well as well. If you did watch, the ETF numbers, just the performance of the ETF itself, Bitwise ETF did quite well. It was up about 16%. So actually outpacing XRP's price move, which is very, very interesting to see. But you could see, we came up to $2.29, a level we have not been above pretty much since, November 17th. Obviously, we kind of got rejected at that key range. Also, need to keep in mind, Bitcoin also kind of got stopped at 89,100. Saw a nice, healthy correction, as you could see for yourself. Let me put this into perspective for you. We came down to $2.18. We do obviously have some support built up around that key range. You could see for yourself. That support played out for us, but held, and we are back up to the $2.20 key range. So are we about to see, XRP as the markets open, push up to, where we were just yesterday and, break above and maybe reclaim back into the 38.2? That would be a very, very impressive thing to see. Again, we're not too far off from that key range. That is a move of about 7.4%. If Bitcoin sees a push, towards the upside, starts heading up to, around, if you were to ask me, the next major key resistance before the point 50 is at around $90,000, give or take. If Bitcoin is able to push towards that key range, dominance continues to pull down. This is a realistic target to be looking for XRP, and it's getting closer and closer to, pretty much where it was prior to, this major retracement that we have seen. So I like what we're seeing here. Got to still take it one step at a time. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys can see. What you guys think. But it's clear that XRP is outpacing Bitcoin right now, both in the UST side of things and as well as the Bitcoin side of things, which again is very, very impressive because Bitcoin, if you look at it from a bigger perspective, still down substantially. But XRP's price is already approaching close to the 38.2 fib zone. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you so much for all the love, and we'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.